Good morning, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Come to you this morning with a tag. I was watching a video yesterday, Todd's Bursting Bookshelf, and he did the 28 more random questions tag. And I think he did this one on Tuesday for Tag Tuesday. But I liked the tag. It was originally done by Steve Donahue. I'll put the link to both of those videos in the descriptions for you, along with the questions. But this is just one of those nosy tags. This is one of those that just asks you a bunch of questions about life in general, just to get to know you. And I kind of like these. These are fairly easy to do, and no stress involved in trying to link a book up with a prompt. So I decided to go ahead and do this one for you this morning. I thought it was kind of fun. Again, this is the 28 more random questions tag, and he made this a couple years ago, so it's a little older tag, but it's kind of fun when you start seeing these older tags and they start making another run through BookTube. I think that's kind of fun to see. So anyway, the 28 more random questions tag. Question number 1. How old is your oldest living relative? This one's kind of tricky for me. I was trying to think of who it would be. In the last 10 years, we've had a lot of people pass away, and I have no living grandparents anymore on my side of the family, and so it goes down to the next generation, and I believe the next oldest living relative at this point, and again, I could be wrong, but is my great-uncle David. He'd be my paternal grandfather's brother, and he was born in 1937, so he's around 83 years old. I can't remember his exact birth date, but he'd be around 83 years old, so I believe he's the oldest living relative I have at the moment. Question number 2. As an adult, have you ever been in a fight? Well, if you're talking a fist fight and you're not including a brother from my earliest stages of adulthood, if you're not including that, I have not, but I almost got into a fist fight. Almost. We were playing old man softball the year after we graduated high school. So I was a very young adult. Remember, I was new to adulthood here, and my little brother was playing on our team, and my little brother's mentally challenged, and so sometimes he says and does things that he thinks seem normal, and oftentimes it could instigate a fight, and he's just trying to fit in with the boys, trash talking back and forth in the game, and sometimes he goes a little overboard. Well, he set this other guy off who started saying some things about my little brother that I wasn't going to stand for. Pretty much everybody on the field knew, they knew what it was, and they just left it alone and ignored him. But this guy, for some reason, had a fire lit, and it lit a fire in me. And my old football coach was playing during this time, or he was waiting on our game to get done, and he was umpiring our game, and he actually had to kind of get me settled down, because I was ready to put up your dukes. But technically I was trying to think of a time. I don't believe I've been in a fist fight as an adult. Been in plenty of arguing matches, of which I won them all. Thank you very much. I don't know if everybody agrees to that, but hey, who cares? My tag, right? Number 3, have you ever been slapped in public? I don't believe so. I was trying to think of a time, and I just don't think I have. Number 4, what's the largest non-human animal you've seen in person? For me, it'd be an elephant. I've seen some good-sized elephants in the zoo, and I believe when we went to the Renaissance Fair, they had camels, and I want to say one time they had an elephant, and we rode an elephant at the Renaissance Fair. So that was kind of cool. So that would be the largest animal I've ever seen. Have you ever had serious surgery? I had a hernia when I was a baby, and so I have a scar on my lower stomach that shows where they did the surgery. Of course, nowadays those surgeries are they don't hardly leave a trace behind, but I have a big old long scar across the bottom part of my tummy that shows I had that. I don't remember it. I was way too young. Um, but that's the only serious surgery that I could think of that I've had. I've been to the doctor, for things, but not surgery. Now, my dentist did say that I'm going to have the back teeth removed here soon, and that'll have to be probably surgically done, and I'll have to be put out for that. But other than that, but that hasn't happened yet. So other than that, I can't think of any. Number 6. If you could only compare the novels of Cormac McCarthy to one kind of garbage, what kind would it be? And this has been absolutely hilarious listening to people's answers, but I've never read him, so I can't do the comparison. But like I said, everybody else's descriptions have been quite funny. Number 7, who'd be your dream casting for Superman? What I did here is I Googled famous actors, and I just started looking through the actors. And the one that I saw that I thought might make a good Superman was Daniel Craig. You might remember him from the 007 movies. He's got that serious look. He's old enough that he could play that part, and, he could draw a fan base. He kind of has that athletic look about him. So I think he might make a good Superman. Number 8, what's the greatest amount of physical pain you've been in? And I was trying to think, because there's been instances where I've had pain, but I think the worst pain I had was the first time right before I had a tooth removed. I had a bad tooth, and that ache that I got a couple days before I had it removed. So this was like on a Friday, and they couldn't do anything till the following Monday. Maybe it was a Thursday. It might have been a Thursday or Friday, but I couldn't get in till the following Monday. And I'm telling you what, that pain, it caused an earache. It caused my headache right behind my eye was just terrible. It was throbbing in the place where the tooth was. And it literally, I had my head in my wife's lap, and I was teared up sobbing. It hurt so bad. Grown man crying, yes. And we eventually got a hold of the dentist, and I was able to go in for at least some, get some painkillers for it. And I had to self-medicate before I got those. And oh my goodness, that was absolutely terrible. Number 9, do you believe in God, in a God or gods? I believe in one God. There's only one God. I am a Christian, so yes, I do believe, and it's only one God. Number 10, have you ever been good and properly drunk? Number 11, to the best of your knowledge, what's the closest you've ever come to death? I was thinking about this, and I think maybe the closest I came to death was the year I graduated from high school. I had bought a 1965 midnight blue Ford Mustang. It was an absolutely awesome, beautiful car. I want to own one again someday. But anyway, I went to work. I was working construction. I went to work, and we had an ice storm come in. Kind of a freak storm, and it came in, and I went home with my buddy, and I left my car at the job site because I did not trust getting my car home. He had a truck, and the loose rear end in those cars, I just didn't trust it. And so I went later that weekend to get my car. My brother drove me, and then he followed me home. This was the same at the same time. If you know who Derek Thomas is, he was a linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the all-time best linebackers. Could sack the quarterback like no other. Just an awesome linebacker. That weekend he got in his car accident, or that day he got in his car accident, is the same day I got in mine. and I was coming up over a hill. The sun was shining on the opposite side of the hill, so everything was melted off, but my side of the hill was still in shadow. And I was heading south and on this hill. And anyway, I hit a patch of ice, the loose end of that Mustang. I literally swapped ditches. It was 2-3 times before I finally went in on the right side of the road, finally went down in the ditch, and it was like an 8-10 foot drop, and my car just went right down in it. And of course, I was dumb and was not wearing a seat belt. I ended up down in the passenger side, underneath the dashboard passenger side. Scared the living daylights out of me. I was shaking for probably an hour after that. And I wasn't like speeding super fast or anything. You know, the speed limit would have been 60 mile an hour, and I bet I was doing 35, 40. Maybe upwards of 45 at some points, but I wasn't flying down the road by any means. My brother's right behind me, and as I went into the ditch from the opposite side of the road, and they were doing probably closer to the speed limit than I was, because there was no ice on the road on that side. 3 cars come up over the hill. So if I would have swapped ditches again, I would have been in a head-on collision with one. And actually, the first car that popped up was a girl in my grade, in my class, that we had just graduated from. And so I would have been in a head-on collision with her. And, you know, who knows how that would have ended up. That scared the living daylights out of me. And years later, my brother said that was one of the scariest moments of his life, because he sat there watching the whole thing unravel right in front of him, and there was nothing he could do about it. Absolutely nothing. And then the only other time that I could think where I was close to death, and this is probably more my just getting scared, but we were down in Texas, Padre Island down in Texas, and my father-in-law lives down in Port Isabel. So we were down visiting him, and we went to go just hang out on the beach all afternoon. And so we drove up the coast, up the island there, a few miles. I don't know how far. It was past where the road stops, and we went on up the island. So when we wrapped up for the day and we picked up everything, we started driving home. We drove probably a quarter mile from where we had been swimming pretty much the whole day. And there's a whole big old line of people all circled around, you know, right on the water's edge. And we stopped to see what was, you know, what's going on. And here's this guy who'd been fishing, because, you know, you got these guys fishing all up and down the coast. Here's this guy fishing who he had caught a shark. He had the shark by the tail and was dragging it back out into the Gulf. I was like, are you kidding me? And it was a decent-sized shark. I don't know if the shark grows with the years as I tell the story, but it was a good-sized shark. Scared the daylights out of me. I don't know if it could have killed me, but it could have probably put some damage to my leg and my feet. Anyway, that as I tell the story in you know, as years go, that shark's going to get bigger and bigger, but so it might become more and more dangerous. So anyway, let's move on. Number 12. Which Star Trek character would the person who knows you best compare you to? I got to be honest, I have no clue. I don't watch Star Trek. I'm sorry, I just don't watch it. Nothing against it, just don't watch it. So I have no clue. We'll move on to the next one. Number 13. Have you ever had your life radically changed by a book? Yes, I have. The Bible totally changed my life, and I've changed a lot of my habits in life so that it coincides with my faith. Number 14. Is there a universally beloved classic you simply don't like? I've shared this before on the channel. Lord of the Rings. A lot of people love that book, and I just can't get into it. I love the storyline, like with the movie and stuff, but I just can't get into the book. I don't know. Number 15. What is your dream profession? Well, I got to be honest, ever since I was little, I've wanted to be a teacher. So I am doing my dream profession. I am doing what I've always wanted to do. And I just think that's absolutely cool because not everybody gets to do that. But so I am in my dream profession. But if I went to my other choice, what probably would have been my first choice if I'd have been good enough, a baseball player. I would love to have played baseball. And, you know, of course, as a young man, I dreamed of being a pro, just like every other kid out there. That would have been nice to have that chunk of change in my pocket to go play a game. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But on the flip side of that, I would probably have not met my wife and had the kids that I've had and, you know, been able to have some of the life experiences that I've had. So it's not always the best thing, but it probably would have been fun. Number 16. Is there an entire genre of reading you're bugged? Is there an entire genre of reading you're bugged you haven't fully explored? No, not really. I know what I like. I know there's some genres that I want to try them, but it doesn't bug me. I want to try to read fantasy and sci-fi just because, and more because I've seen you guys talk about it so much, and you guys love it so much out there on BookTube. I just want to try it. I am a history guy. I love my nonfiction books. I like historical fiction, and yeah, I know what I like, so it doesn't bug me all that much. I do want to try these other ones, but it doesn't bug me that I haven't gotten into them. Number 17, when you people watch, what's the main thing you notice? I love to people watch. Anytime we go to the airport, that is the best place to people watch. The airport, or if you're at a college campus, there are all sorts of neat people and different people to observe. And I like seeing all the differences. I don't know if there's any certain difference that I look for. I like looking at the different ways they dress, the different ways they do their hair, the different ways that they act, the different ways that they talk. I just like it all. I think it's very interesting. Yeah. Number 18. Barring the unforeseeable, what's the most likely way you'll die? Well, if I go by my dreams and my repeated dreams, it's going to be a tornado. I'm going to die in a tornado. I've told my wife this for years. I've had like 3 or 4 repeated dreams just over and over and over again, and they're all about tornadoes. So if I believe that, I'm going to die in a tornado. And, you know, where I live, we frequently get tornadoes. Not as much as like down in Oklahoma or Kansas or something like that, or Texas, or you know, not in those areas, but we do get our fair amount of them. It's either going to be that or I'm going to die by a heart attack, according to my wife, because of my eating habits. But hey, whatever goes. Number 19. Have you visited any of the world, ancient or modern? Any of the so this is like the Colossus of Rhodes, the Great Pyramid, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, the Mausoleum, you know, any of those places. For me, I have not. I've never been to them myself, any of the ancient world anyway. And I visit a couple of those places with my kids virtually on the internet, but I've never in person been there. As far as the modern places, the Great Wall of China, Petra, Christ the Redeemer, Chichen Itza, the Colosseum, Taj Mahal, Great Pyramid, never in person. My wife has been to the Colosseum. She went there on a trip to Italy in college. I have been to Christ the Redeemer, but the one in the Ozarks, not the one in down in South America. And then I've also been to the Taj Mahal virtually with my students. But other than that, I have not. We've looked at stuff on the Great Wall, but I've never been there in person. Number 20. What are your main superpowers? I think if I have a superpower, I would consider empathy, being able to be empathetic with my students in my classroom, and you know, I get along well with all of them. I relate to them on a one-to-one basis. And I think that I'm good at building relationships with them, and that's allowed me to be very successful as a teacher. They trust me. We build that trust, and then in turn, not only am I able to help them emotionally on that level, then that trust goes into the classroom as far as, you know, helping them intellectually. Let's see here. Number 21. Have you ever met any famous people? Kind of. I've met the Harlem Globetrotter, Gator Rivers. He used to coach down in St. Joe at Bishop LeBlond. He coached, I believe it was girls basketball at Bishop LeBlond, and he would do basketball camps. And he came to our school and did a middle school basketball camp for us. So I've met him. Oscar Robertson was at Missouri Western for something. I do not remember what it was for, but I did meet him. And then I've met the governor of our state, if governors count, if politicians count. So Governor Kim Reynolds, I met her before she started moving up, just prior to her starting to move up the ranks in the Republican Party of Iowa. I'd met her at a convention. I couldn't think of anybody else. There might be somebody, but I just couldn't think. Anyway, I've met some famous speakers at school, if that counts, because they come to our school for the beginning of the school year. We usually have a speaker, and I've met some famous ones that way. All right, number 22. Have you ever slept outdoors? Yes, I've camped. I've camped when I was little. Last time we camped was a few years back when we went on vacation to Pennsylvania. We had decided to make it affordable. We were going to camp all over the state, which worked when we got to Erie, Pennsylvania. When we got to, in the middle of Pennsylvania, there is a little state site, and it's got a bunch of waterfalls, and I am Red Rock State Park or something like that. I'd have to look it up. But we camped there. That was really cool. And then we were going to camp 2 or 3 more nights down in southern Pennsylvania in Gettysburg, and it started raining. And we just did not want to camp in the rain. So when we visited Gettysburg, which was an awesome experience, we had to stay in a hotel, and then, you know, the expense, then it cut our vacation short. But, oh well, life goes on. Long story short, I have camped. Number 23, would you make a good parent? Or, if you're already a parent, how much do your children hate you? I am a parent. I have 2 children of my own. I have 120 more kids at school that I help to parent. And I think it depends on how much do your children hate you. I think truly my kids love me. Especially my own 2. They love me. I hope they do anyway. Do they ever hate me? Probably. When I make unpopular decisions for them, or I have unpopular opinions for them, I'm sure that feeling of hate comes up, just like it does with any parent-child relationship. But I think all in all, my kids love me. It's I hope when I leave this earth that they have good stories about me. Number 24. New Kids on the Block or the Backstreet Boys? I have grown up with both of them, but I would go with New Kids on the Block. I jammed out to that when I was in, what would I have been, 3rd grade, right around there, 2nd, 3rd grade, somewhere in there. I think it was 3rd grade. Yeah, I jammed out to New Kids on the Block. Maybe it was 4th grade. I can't remember. It was somewhere in there. And I bought all the tapes. I had the music video. I had the T-shirts. I had the stickers. I had all of that stuff, just like every kid of that generation. Backstreet Boys were when I was in high school, and I was not. The girls were all into the Backstreet Boys, not so much me. Not to say I never listened to any of their songs, but not so much me. Number 25. Have you ever been on stage in front of an audience? Yes, I've been on stage several times. I feel fairly comfortable in front of people. It doesn't bother me all that much. I get nervous right before I go on stage, and maybe them first 10, 20 seconds. But then once I'm there and I start talking, I get to going, I feel fairly comfortable. I found that when I was in high school, which is where I first met the stage, I was in every school play in high school. We'd do a couple every year. We did 2 every year. And most of the time, we had another guy in my grade who was a really good actor, and he would get the lead role, and I'd get the second male role. I felt really good on stage. I was really good at comedy. I got to my senior year, the last play we did ever in school, I did get the lead role. I was very proud of that. And it wasn't a comedy, it was a serious role. And so I was real proud of that. And I think that being on stage really did help me later on in getting in front of people, in front of kids in the classroom, which I do on an everyday basis during the school year. And I hope we're going to do that on an everyday basis this school year. I've acted in a couple of our school plays since I've been teaching. I acted in a community play that we did as a fundraiser for the county historical museum. That was a lot of fun. Let's see here. I've done the 8th grade promotion speech. It's the when we do kind of a graduation for our 8th grade, and I've done the promotion speech a couple times, and I felt real good about that. One of those was my daughter's when she was going from 8th grade to high school, which I was very proud of. I had a lot of fun doing that. We do an awards ceremony every school year at the end of the year for the kids who've done sports, who've done band, who've done art, who've done, all the different activities that go through the school year. We do a award ceremony for them, and with the exception of last year, because it got canceled because we weren't in school, I always participate. Matter of fact, I do, because I coach so much, I do about half of the award ceremony. I do about half of the talking. I've preached at church several times. I've done that. So I get up in front of people quite often. I found when I was younger, I thrived when I'd get the crowd. I was good at comedy, and when I fed off the crowd and their laughter and their response to what I was doing on stage. I absolutely loved that. Number 26. At the moment, what's your favorite non-booktube channel? So I picked out 4 of them that I've been watching here lately. One of them is called Life Uncontained, and it's about this young couple who bought 2 storage containers, and they had some land, and they put them out on the land, they put them together, and they've turned them into a house, and they live off the grid, and they have a baby, and they're pretty entertaining. They've been entertaining. That's called Life Uncontained. I've been watching Lionheart Filmworks, and they put on documentaries and old CBS Sunday night movies that we used to watch. I don't know if you guys, not all of you are probably old enough to remember that, but they used to do that, and a lot of those were they were historical movies, and a lot of times based on books, and they put those on there, and I like those. They might not be the best movies. They're not like, a lot of times they're not high budget, but I enjoyed them, and I enjoy them going back and rewatching them. I watch Urban Exploring with Cappy. This is this guy who goes basically into abandoned houses, and just he takes you through the house, and you look at all the different architectures and what's been left behind. And there's several channels out there that do that I've been watching, but that's the one that I had on my feed when I was looking. And then Living Big in a Tiny House, and it's just tiny house living. It's pretty interesting. There's part of me I'd love to do that, but then there's part of me that says you wouldn't be able to take your book collection, or at least the entire thing. So it's interesting, but I'll probably never do it. Number 27, almost done. 2 questions here. Number 27, have you ever passed out while sober? I have not, but I have seen somebody do it. I was thinking back in middle school, and I think it was 6th grade, we were doing a History Day project, and we were putting on a performance for the crowd, and one of the guys that was in my group was super nervous, and he started saying his lines, and he locked his knees, and then he started swaying, and you could just see it happening, and he keeled over backwards, hit his head against the chalk tray. He was out, and that was quite the interesting experience. But I have never personally passed out. Number 28, last question. How strong are you physically, intellectually, emotionally? Physically, I'm athletic, but I wouldn't say I'm extremely strong. I've never been like big and bulky, but I'm strong enough. I'm confident in my abilities. I'm strong enough to do what I got to do. I can still, in a lot of cases, hang with the kids that I coach, and so I'm confident. Intellectually, I'm strong enough to realize that I don't know everything, and I'm willing to look up or read, about new stuff to become smarter. I'm smart enough that I feel confident in my abilities, but I'm also smart enough that I know I don't know everything. And some teachers have a lot of problems with admitting they don't know everything, or that they think they know everything, and then they alienate the kids. I am not that way. I am totally up to telling the kids, you know what, I don't know, let's look it up. Let's learn something new. And then emotionally, so-so. I mean, I'm not good, not bad. I don't know how to rate that one. But anyway, this has been the 28... this has been the 28 more random questions tag. Again, I saw it on Steve Donahue, or excuse me, I originally saw it on Todd's Bursting Bookshelf, and then the original was done by Steve Donahue, and I watched it as well. I'll leave the links to all that along with the questions down below. I hope you've enjoyed this. I know it's gotten kind of long, but it's kind of hard to answer 28 questions and keep it to a small amount of video time. So thank you if you've kept watching, and have a good day, BookTube.